Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be showing my brother how to do acrylic. So he's going to watch me and then he's going to repeat the steps on his finger. So let's get started. So first we're going to pick up the monomer. You're going to put your brush in there like that. Wipe off one side. Okay, good. And then dab it on an angle in the monomer. Go. Not like that, but okay. And now we're going to place it on the finger like this against the cuticle. Oops. Place it at the cuticle, push it up, and then drag it down like that. Look. Okay, not bad. Okay. Good. Okay, so now he's placing the second bead. You're going to put it right there where the second bead met. And then you want to wipe your brush and swipe down. Swipe down. Everybody go to part 2.
Rico, 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 ay, rico, 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 ay, rico, rico, rico. O grave faz do e a bunda dela bate.
Baby, it's the nails for me. It's the nails for me. You see me out there pointing freely. It's my nails. Woo! It's my nails. Woo!
So, some of you may remember, I posted this video not long ago, rating all my old nail art, and I made it clear that I was a bad bitch at water marbling. Like, check that out. I'm gonna see if I can still do it. I'm just gonna fill with the current white base I have right now, because it's best to have a white base when you're doing water marble so the colors pop. We're nice and clean and ready for water marbling. I'm filling a cup with room temp water. Back then, when I used to do water marbling all the time, I would use liquid latex to protect my skin from the nail polish, but we don't have liquid latex today, so tape will do for now. I'm using 3 colors to make my bullseye. This is just regular nail polish, by the way. Gel won't work because this, it's like sciencey stuff as to why it spreads out. I don't fucking know. I loved doing water marble years ago, but it just sucks because it makes such a huge mess. It's also somewhat time consuming and I know I'm not going to fit this all in one part, so check out part 2.
4 beads on my nails, dump it in water. Yes, they're growing and growing. Let's take a closer look. Raspberry or fish eggs. I'm hungry.
I know these tips are out of style, but check this out.
She make it clap, clap, clap. She make it clap, clap, clap. She make it. She make it clap, clap, clap. 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 She make it clap. Riding around town and strapping my lap.
My sister ran out of male nails, so she and her creepy fake finger requested that I come to her studio. She started by cleaning the dirt I didn't even know I had, and then filed and dusted the nails off. Then she pushed back my super crusty cuticles, which tickled a little bit. When she took out the drill, I seriously thought she was about to take my whole nail off, but she somehow convinced me that the drill-looking thingy was the safest one out there. I had no choice but to believe her at that point. When dude took out the sharp scissors, I almost jumped out of my chair. And that's when the bleeding started. Haha, just kidding. But I guess it worked out in the end. My nails never looked this clean. I approve, you guys can hit her up.
O grave faz do 1, 2, 3. Think I got you here. Don't tap out, fight into the end. She said, look, no hands and no darling, I don't dance.
This is why you should never take a prank too far. Once there were 2 young twins who lived in a small town and they were known for constantly misbehaving. One day a man had passed away peacefully in his home and the twins wanted to play a prank on everyone else living in the town, so they snuck into the house and started messing with the man's body. One twin moved his mouth like a puppet and the other one poked his eyes out with a stick. As they were doing this, they heard footsteps. They couldn't find anywhere to hide, so they placed the body back in the coffin, then got in the coffin themselves and closed the lid. But what they didn't know was they were taking the coffin straight to the funeral. The people carrying the coffin noted that it was much heavier than usual but brushed it off. No one even noticed that the twins were gone until the coffin was lowered. The twins' mother appeared at the cemetery about the missing twins, which stopped the funeral and began a search. Eventually, the man carrying the coffin confessed that the coffin had weighed more than it was supposed to, so they lifted it out and opened the lid. They did find the boys there, but they found them lying on top of the body, whose hands were wrapped tightly around each of their necks. The twins had been strangled to death.
rico, 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 ay, rico, 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 ay, rico, rico, rico. O grave faz e a bunda dela bate, 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 bate. E o grave faz
If you ever want to wear a wig, don't do what she did. Talia bought a wig one day that didn't fit, but instead of returning it, she did something that quickly became terrifying. She came up with an unusual idea. This was her first mistake. She searched for ways to alter the wig herself. Then she went into her mother's room, took out a sewing kit, and began working. But Talia actually decided to put the wig on first and sew it in front of a mirror. She thought this would make sure the size was perfect. Afterwards, she was actually really satisfied with the result. Then that night, Talia went to take the wig off, but the wig seemed to feel much tighter than before. But she had school early tomorrow, so with one pull, she took the wig off. Then, without looking, she put it in her closet. That night, she woke up to a wet sound ringing in her ear. She tried to go back to sleep, but realized that her dog had come onto her bed. She pet her dog and went back to sleep. It wasn't a big deal. But the next morning, she noticed something strange in her closet. The wig didn't look the way it did before. It was covered in pieces of blood and skin. Then Talia went into the bedroom and turned around. She realized that she had sewn her own scalp into the wig, then ripped it off. In the back of her head, she could see her own skull. Then she realized why there was a wet sound ringing in her ears last night, and she began screaming.
Baby Lime.
She make it clap, clap, clap. She make it clap.
Honestly, I love and appreciate all my clients, but I have this specific client who honestly gets on my freaking nerves. She's literally always like 20 minutes late, and she shows up and still has the audacity to be eating her food. Not to mention, every time I pull her hand forward, she tends to pull it back. And I don't mind people being on their phone, but with both hands, I don't think it's okay. Or looking at the nails when I'm not even finished and judging them. I just find it so disrespectful that I'm giving her my full attention and she's doing her own damn thing. Even though she kept moving and being on her phone, the shape still came out super good. And I was able to get the apex on point. And then this bitch still has the nerve to look at them before I'm even done. Apart from that, she's so rude and she literally doesn't ever want to pay me. Always has excuses and says that she doesn't have money. I'm just so sick and tired of her always taking advantage of me. Like, damn, stay still, bitch. Oh, also, did I mention? My client happens to be my sister. Fat ass.
Rico, 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 ay, rico, 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 ay, rico, rico, rico.
Remember this client who got screwed over by her ex? Well, she came back for an appointment with more stories. After getting somewhat back on her feet, she decided to take a much-needed getaway to visit her best friend up in New York City. She thought she could turn to her friend for guidance and support, but she was wrong. After moving to New York City, her friend changed. She became mentally and emotionally abusive both to herself and others. My client had a rude awakening when she was left outside in a city she didn't know, while her so-called best friend got high on horse tranquilizers with a complete stranger. After all of that, my client stuck around to see if she was okay, just to find her strutting down her rooftop ledge, threatening her life. She was ready to end the friendship, but realized her friend needed more help and support than she ever did.
Alright y'all, so I'm going to teach you how to do nails from beginning to end. Let's get right into it. I'm going to have to do this really fast because there's a lot to cover. So first thing I go in with is cuticle remover. It makes it way easier to get rid of that cuticle. I'm going to nip mine off camera as well. Now I'm going to go in with my e-file and the sanding band to get rid of the excess oil on my nails. If I'm being honest, this is a cheap beginner drill, but I only use it for the natural nail and one other part of the process. After that, I go in with Young Nail Swipe to dehydrate the nail. Let's grab our tips. These are my favorite ones, and if you use these, just make sure to cut off that extra plastic because you never want to glue that much of the nail tip onto the tip of the nail. Here I am going with the Young Nails nail glue, and I'm going to just put a little bit inside. I like to hold my finger straight down when I apply the tips so I can make sure it's super straight. You always want to make sure that the tips are fitting from sidewall to sidewall. Using a tip cutter, you're going to cut to your desired length. Then you're going to blend your tips into your natural nail. Finally, we're getting into shaping. My go-to is the 100-100, and here I am filing on both sides. Lastly, we're going to go in with Young Nails Protein Bond. If you don't use this, your nails will literally fall off. Part 2 is up now, y'all.
I got my peaches out in Georgia. Oh yeah, shit. I get my weed from California. That's that shit. I took my chick up to the north, yeah. Badass bitch. Draco. Soldier. She make it clap, clap.
Hope you guys liked this video and found it helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. It does help support us, and let's know what videos you guys want to see.